be in Swastikasana. And bring the hands down on top of the thighs. Close the eyes, while still feeling the arm bones turning out to build a liftedness and a broadness in the chest. Let the legs descend, the buttock descend. Soften across the face, the eyes, the temples. To draw the consciousness more deeply inward. That inward place is said to be that place where a drop of Purusha exists within each of us. Purusha being that which is unchangeable. Prakriti being everything else in nature which is changeable, which is there for us to observe in its changes. But Purusha is there for us to exist in its stability. And then bring the hands together at the center chest into Namaskarasana. Feel the breath wide in the side body, and as you do, observe the landscape behind the eyelids. And bring your awareness into the width of that landscape. And join me for the sound of Om. We'll Om 3 times all together. Use the ongoing resonance of that Om to help connect you again to that bit of Purusha inside. Release the head down towards the heart center and surrender there into that inward space. And release the hands with the palms up. Bring the head up with closed eyes and gently open the eyes. So we're going to start today with cross bolsters. So I want you to have, if you have 2 bolsters, have them, or have 1 bolster and 2 blankets, so that you can arrange that. As well, have a brick, and if you can be near a wall, that's a nice way to approach this, especially as a first pose, right? So I'll just show you how we're going to organize it. I'm going to take my bricks. I'm going to put that brick on medium and put it at the wall. The cross bolsters, of course, the bottom one being horizontal there on the mat and the top one being vertical. And now, as I say kind of frequently, especially when you're dealing with the wall and doing back bending things, where you're going to come back over props, you're just going to have to guess and see, do you have it the right distance? And just know you're probably going to have to come up and rearrange because the first guess is usually not right. Most of you know, but I'm going to reiterate, be sure you start with your buttock on this side of the horizontal bolster so that you give the buttock flesh traction. So that when you then lie back, right, the low back is lengthened. Oh, I guess pretty well. But I'm just, well, no, I think I got it. That was a lucky guess. I'm a little tight, so I'm going to come out and make it just a little longer. Because eventually, know that you want to be able to spread the mounds of the foot there against the wall. Try and keep your feet close together. If it's a strain, then you can make a little width between your feet here if necessary. But, you know, if your feet are hard flexed, like mine kind of were, it won't give you room to build that spread in the mound of the foot, which is why I moved away from the wall. Now I've got it. And ultimately, as you get to where you're going and you pause there for a moment, and I'll give you time, but you want to feel that your shoulders are just barely grazing the ground. There's not a hard press onto them like there might be in Setu Bandha. So it's this constant release of the trapezius and the upper arms turning out. Head relaxed. And regarding the legs, when you spread the mounds of your foot against the wall, I want you to be able to feel that the outer border of your legs, from the outer ankles, shins to the outer thighs, have a sense of firmness. So they really do feel like borders. And that will help give you that sensation of the inner groin releasing down. Abdomen soft. And thanks to the supports and the way that you lie back, right, if you get the distances correct, you should be able to feel that the tailbone is in your body, meaning slightly pressed towards the ceiling as the thighs press slightly down. And then once you get here, you can close the eyes. And enjoy the breath in the side body. Of course, you breathe in and out through the nose, and be sure that you keep your elbows below the height of the shoulders. There are times, right, when holding the arms overhead can be appropriate, but today I would recommend keeping the elbows beneath the shoulders and the arms to the sides. And as you build those outer borders of the legs, keep the kneecaps lifted so that the legs remain engaged. The neck should be passive and soft. The occipital ridge at the base of the skull should feel slightly as though it's being pulled away from you towards the wall that the crown faces. Soften the skin across the forehead and that space between the brow. Notice the jaw, the tongue, and the space inside of the mouth. Be sure you allow for space inside of the mouth. The upper palate should have a sense of rising. Maintain space between the teeth, meaning the upper teeth and lower teeth. sides of the neck relaxed and long. Observe how quite naturally, as you breathe into the side body, there's a natural lift that comes beneath the collarbones in the armpit chest there, which fosters that width across the collarbones. Maintain the activity, or the stability is a better word, in the legs. It should almost feel as though there is a strap at your upper thigh, middle thigh, lower thigh, middle calf, lower calf, ankle region, all the way down the legs, right? As if the legs were bound by 10 straps or so. Not in a harsh way, in a supportive way. If for any reason the back becomes uncomfortable, just bend your knees and put your feet flat on the floor. And we're going to come out in just a little bit. Right, and now then, bend your knees, put your feet flat on the floor. To come out, let yourself move back just a little bit so the shoulders will come down, maybe even part of your upper back. And then you just roll gently off to the right-hand side, lie on your side for a moment, let the ground catch you. And then use the left hand to press the floor away. Come on out. Okay, so now you can set one of the bolsters aside and take the second one, turn it long ways down your mat, and get a blanket. The blanket is going to be for a pillow. Pardon me, you'll put that pillow at the top of the bolster, and you can just come to sitting in Virasana at the front of that bolster for just a moment. We're going to take Supta Virasana. So minimum prop is 1 bolster. Maximum prop is however much you need. So have more if necessary. You know we're going to come forward and put the buttock on the ground. So if you need a brick, you use a brick under the buttock, but that just means you need at least a second bolster, okay? So take a moment and be there so that the shoulders release, the buttock descends, and the thigh bones go down. And then we're going to just come forward, descend the hips, and lift the chest and lie back, bringing that blanket under your head. The initial actions, of course, are roll the buttock away from the low back towards the heels, or towards the knees, and then descend the thighs. The knees do not have to be aggressively close or tight together. And if you have more height, the knees can separate. When you're on your cycle, oftentimes the knees can be easily, comfortably separated, but try and have your legs hips distance. And keeping the neck soft, shoulder blades on the back, hold the elbows. And draw the arms overhead so that they can rest there on your blanket for support. If that's uncomfortable to you, you can just leave the arms to your sides, that's fine. Spread across the mounds of the foot, right, all the way to the small toes so that again, the outer ankles firm in. Imagine the thigh bones were weighted further and more as you stay. Encouraging the thick back ribs to coil in and up towards the back of the chest. And keep the neck soft. Notice the inner groins and bring softness into the inner groins. Notice if there's a gripping there. And then change the crossing of your arms. Your fingertips can steer that upper arm towards the ceiling to create width in the base of the neck. Observe the abdomen. Allow the abdomen to soften all the way in the upper abdomen beneath your frontal ribs and the lower abdomen above the frontal hip points and the pubic plate. Keeping the breath in the side body. And then release the arms. Bring the hands there kind of above the back of the buttock. And inhale, lift the chest and come all the way up. To release the legs, you can do this a couple of ways, but come forward and cross your ankles. And then swing the legs beneath you. And straighten the legs into Dandasana, heels down and forward to lift your knees. Right, to build that straightness again. Then we're going to set up for Supta Baddha Konasana. So get 2 more blankets and get a strap. And just go ahead and fold the blankets in half there and put them beside your mat. And make a loop in the strap. Okay, there we go. Come to sitting in front. That strap goes all the way over the head and the torso. Make sure it's at your lower back, not your lumbar spine, but just on the top region of the sacrum, really. The strap should pull towards you. Make length in the low back and come back. Of course, if you're chilled or something, you can just cover up with a blanket. Keep the shoulder blades on the back. You can have your arms at your sides if you wish. Or you can again hold the elbows and pull the arms overhead. Your choice. So many of the similar things as before, breathe into the sides of the body so the abdomen remains soft and supple. Buttock, of course, lengthens towards the heels. Make sure the legs have support and the inner groins can relax. And then change the crossing of your arms. When you let the body rest in this way, any of these restorative poses, right? And you draw the attention to the breath. You can almost feel how that pranic energy riding on the breath has the opportunity to sort of move in to the body in a special way. Almost as if to bring nutrients into the dark corners, the sleepy areas, the compressed areas of you. Whether that's physically, psychologically, energetically. Be aware of that happening. And go ahead and release the arms. Shoulder blades on the back. Be there for a moment. Creating that alliance now between the shoulder blades moving down. And those thick back ribs hugging in, coiling inward and upward towards the back side of your sternum. As you're ready, bring the hands to the floor, maybe behind the hips. And inhale, and come on back up. If it's uncomfortable to sit straight up, you can roll to the side, that's fine. Release the legs, straighten the legs. Set the strap and the extra blankets aside. And then just turn around and face your bolster. We're going to take Adho Mukha Virasana, child's pose, but let's use the bolster for support. So big toes touching, knees apart. Bring that bolster into the abdomen. Lift up and over. And then anyway, you want to support the head. I would say put the forearms on the blanket and let your head rest on the blanket so that you don't have to turn your head from side to side. And so the body can release more evenly and equally. Arrange so that the blanket draws the skin of the forehead down towards the brow. As you breathe into the side body, widen across the back body. Be aware still of the mouth and the jaw and the tongue. And place the hands on the bolster kind of under the shoulders. And inhale and come up with your head last. We're going to take Janu Shirshasana. So it's your choice, but I am recommending, look, the reason we're doing Janu Shirshasana is so that the forehead can rest, okay? So I want you to easily be able to rest your forehead down. So you can do that one of two ways. You could have your bolster and rest your forehead. If that's fine for you, that's fine for you. Some people are going to find that it's more restful to have a chair and rest their forehead. There's no wrong answer. It's just what's right for you. So I'm offering both of those. Do whichever you wish. If you're using the chair, put a blanket on it so it's not so hard. But before you come in, push out through the right heel. I have my left leg back. Typically you'd bring your left leg back first for Janu Shirshasana. Turn towards the right and come forward. You can hold the sole of the foot if you wish, or you can just put your forearms down. But bring the forehead to rest. When you do, the skin of the forehead should flow down towards the brow. Abdomen soft and relaxed. Temples released. Jaw soft. And press the bolster or the chair away. Inhale, come up. Straighten that left leg. And go to the other side. buttock towards your left heel especially. Spread them out to the left foot and then bring that bolster into play or chair. Come forward and rest the head. And again, be aware of the abdomen, relaxed, supple. Work in such a way today to bring ease into the body and restfulness into the head, as opposed to just trying to get the deepest bend that you can achieve. And then again, release, inhale, and come up. Go back to the first side. So come ahead forward, back into the first side. Continually be aware of the side body long. Okay. And then come on up and change sides. Last side for Janu Shirshasana. Now then inhale, come up, straighten both legs. Paschimottanasana, again, chair or bolster, your choice. But as you're ready, press down on either the bolster or the chair to help you foster that length in the side body. But then come on forward. Rest the head. Remember that supported Uttanasana and how the side body and the back body continually had a sense of flow to it. minimize the inhale and come all the way back up. Now, keep that bolster, turn it so that you use the front edge of the bolster. We're going to sit there on that front edge and take Bharadvajasana again on the bolster. This is fine for everyone. Right? So initially you'll sweep your legs towards your left. So I'm mirroring you. Okay. Left buttock off. Left leg like Virasana. Right? Pull that left hip down. And then everyone today, we're keeping this simple. Just bring the back hand, so it'll be your right hand, bring it towards the back edge of the bolster. Left hand across the body, bend the elbows and turn. Flow the thick back left ribs towards that left elbow. You can look up and over the back shoulder. And then release to center and change sides. Okay. So bring the left hand back. Use the right hand to cross over, lift and turn. You can look back and over the left shoulder. And then release to center one more time. So they don't have to be a long hold. Just go back to that first side again and turn. And then release and change sides. And then come back to center. You'll see I have the chair turned so that, if I was going to open it, it would open like that. So it's closed, of course. Top of the chair right against my upper thighs. I press into that, keeping my knees lifted. It helps catch the buttock flesh going down. And then I work to lengthen my side bodies. You see how I'm making length in the side ribs, side waist, so that as I come forward, maintaining the effort in the legs, I get that extra bit of space that I built. And then you can just come ahead down. You can have the forearms there. I'm sorry, it's hard to see that. And that's letting my head rest. Or you can bring your hands like so and just let the head hang. Some of you will feel that the head easily goes to the chair. Right? Keep the mounds of the foot spreading so the kneecaps are lifted. Abdomen released and relaxed. But the side body ever more flowing downward towards the bottom of the chair. Almost as if the flesh of the back body were going down. And just bring the hands onto the chair, push the chair down and away, and inhale, come up with the head last. Use the wall, lean back against it for a moment. And then we're going to keep using that chair for a moment. So come away from the wall, open up the chair. My space has suddenly got me very cluttered, sorry. We're going to open the chair. I'm going to turn the chair to face, when it's open, my chair is going to face the windows. And you can do that too, but I'm going to set it up so that when I face the right, it looks that way. So this is my right, and that's how I want you set up as well. That's correct. So whether you're facing me or against me, you know, that's how it'll depend on what it'll look like if I'm mirroring you or not, if that makes sense. So bring the feet about hips distance, heels down. Okay. Just look forward for a moment with the hands down on the thighs so that you feel that your back waistband descends. I want you to be very clear that you're completely upright on your buttock bones. And the hips are far back in the chair seat. You see the chair seat hits my right outer hip here, or the backrest does, right? That's it. So keep the heels down. Take the hands to the corners of the backrest. Lift the chest. Elbows wide. And with your exhale, press with the right hand. Pull with the left hand. Relax the abdomen. The abdomen flows to the right. Oh, Laura, I'm sorry. I meant to give you an alternative pose. This one isn't so bad. You're fine doing this pose. But the next one, I want you to do something different. So I'll give you an alternative. And then exhale, release, and go to the second side. Heels down. Buttock, flesh down. Hold on to the backrest, the corners there. Inhale, lift the chest. So you pull the hands down a little. Push with the left hand, pull with the right hand. Right shoulder blade on the back. But those thick back right ribs rolling in the direction of your right elbow. And then release back to center. Go to the first side again. Chair twist, Chair Bharadvajasana. Inhale, and with your exhale, turn. And then come back to center and change sides. Lift the chest and exhale. Turn. Then come on back to center. Okay, so now stand up and take the chair to a wall so that the back of the chair is against the wall. Chair's facing away from the wall. Now, we're going to do standing twist, standing Marichyasana 3. Let's see, I'm going to put the chair here so I'm not turning my back to you. So I'm going to take that brick and turn it on the medium height. My right shoulder is facing the wall, and I want your right shoulder to face the wall. Good. The toes are right about at the edge of the seat of the chair, and you bring your right foot up onto the chair, the brick. So have your hands at your waist, press the heel, your right heel down on the brick, but feel how the top left thigh moves back. Then left hand to the right knee, turn to the right, keep pressing the right heel, left thigh moves back. So the right shoulder rolls back, but these thick back left ribs flow towards the left elbow, left shoulder blade on the back. Relax the abdomen. And then release to center. Change sides. So as we change, yeah, good, Laura. Just we're going to do this twice, Laura, just so you know, and then you can kind of time yourself from there. So guys, left leg up onto the brick. You can see how my right thigh, the standing leg, it just wants to go forward when I do that. So the correct thing to do is step into your left heel and take your right thigh back. You see, then it gets my right leg over my right ankle. Right hand to the left knee, left hand against the wall, turn to the left. Work to maintain the legs, elbows wide, so the left shoulder blade's on the back, but these thick back right ribs are flowing towards the right elbow. Relax the abdomen, turn. And release back to center. Go back to the first side. So we start the same, right leg up. But this time as we turn, hook your left elbow beyond the right knee and take the left palm to the wall like so. Step into your right heel, left thigh back, right hand against the wall to help you turn to the right. Keep that right shoulder blade on the back. Keep the thick back left ribs flowing towards your left elbow. And then gently release. Change sides. Left foot up. And as you're ready, turn to your left, hook the right elbow. Keep stepping into that left heel so the right top thigh moves back, and press the left hand to turn. Really feel how using your legs allows the abdomen to release and relax so that the abdomen does not protrude and try and turn you. Instead, the abdomen receives the turn. And then release, inhale, and come on up. And take Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, you have some options. If you have wall ropes, use one of the wall ropes, around the upper thigh. That's what I'm going to do. Have a bolster long ways so it's for your forehead. If you don't have wall ropes, you can do one of two things. You can use the strap around a doorknob and use a door. Or you can just take downward dog with your heels against the wall or your hands, your choice. But have a bolster or a blanket or a bolster and a blanket, something for your head to rest on. Okay? So those are the options. Of course, if your mat's in the way, just move it for the time being. We'll come back to the mat with the blanket on it. Be sure that if you're using a support, it's really even behind you. Lengthen through the legs. And come on in as you're ready. Now, if you are one of the people who's doing a regular downward dog with no rope or strap, the hold will be a little long. So I'll give you a moment to take a break. Those of you that have support, it won't be as necessary.
Keep looking to gain more and more length in the side body and the outer armpits. So if you're doing regular downward dog, just take a break, take child's pose for a few moments. And once you feel ready, come back into the pose for the second half. And then everybody, walk your hands back, walk your feet forward. And gently with an inhale, come on up with the head last. Carefully come out of those ropes. Now,
chair shoulder stand is next. Now, if you're not going upside down today, you'll take Setubandha Sarvangasana. I'll show it quickly how I'll have you do it, because there's a million different ways to do Setubandha. But you put your shoulders on either a bolster or on two folded blankets. Hips, tailbone on a block like so. Feet can be a little apart, and this will be your Setubandha for today. So if you're not doing inverted poses, full inverted poses, you do that. Otherwise, we're going to do chair shoulder stand, but I want to be specific in particular about how we're doing chair shoulder stand today. So get your metal folding chair, fold a blanket in half and put that on the chair seat. And then I'll show you what I'm asking for you to do. And the reason being is there's a difference between chair shoulder stand and doing Viparita Karani on a chair. And it's oftentimes looked at as the same thing, and it's really, really not. And once you start to feel the difference, it is so different, and it brings about different pranic action and different results in the body. So, it's two different things and really two different poses. And I want you to be able to get full chair shoulder stand actions today. So I folded two blankets down here for my shoulders. I'm going to take another blanket, one of these, Mexican blanket things. Oh gosh, here it is. There we go. And fold it. I'm taking it from this kind of square size, and I'm folding it the thick way. I'm putting it there on my chair seat. Now, for me, I know, and most of you do too, because most of you have had class with me, but I know that I need one folded and one flat, and that's usually a pretty good height for me in chair shoulder stand. So that's how I arrange that. So I just know to use it. So if you're not real sure, then you'll just have to adjust it. Now I did this, yesterday or something? I showed. when we do chair shoulder stand frequently, especially when you learn it, you do it against a wall. But once you understand it and your body's accustomed to it and happy, you can do it away from a wall. I'm showing both. It's going to be a little clumsy because I'm going to show you with the wall and then I'm going to push myself away and show you without. And then you can decide how you want to do, although I wouldn't transition it that way. You know, if you know you can do away from the wall, set up away from a wall. Don't try and push away because it's really not, it's really not the way. But I'm just trying to get it all in. So the setup is to keep, you know, you bring one leg up the wall and keep one leg hooked, and that'll help you come into the pose. So that way, you see, the blankets catch my soft tissue in the top of the buttock and lengthen my lower back. The chest gets lifted thanks to where I put my arms, and heels go against the wall, but I spread them out of the foot. So you see my legs are not up here, which oftentimes students report that, you know, it's a pain in their back and people really resist this sometimes. This is something entirely different because it gets, look how it changes my chest. It gets those thick back ribs to become employed and awakened. Now, if you go, oh, but I'm really comfortable there at the wall, you could try it away. Now, here's the weird transition. This isn't what you should do. I'm just trying to show. So then you just bring the legs against the backrest of the chair, and it deepens the work and becomes, in my opinion, even more comfortable. But the legs have to be straight, none of this business, you know. So your choice on how you want to set up there, but come on in. And the abdomen, again, should go soft and deep. You can breathe into the side body. And you can work with turning the upper arm bones out more and more so that the base of the neck has some lift to it. Sides of the neck soft. Now, from here, bend your knees. Your feet can touch the backrest. Release your arms. You can keep a hold of the chair, but slide the body back so that the hips land on the blankets. And your legs can rest on the seat of the chair for a moment. Then, press the blankets towards the chair. Bring the hips to the ground. And turn yourself onto the side and come up. Now, we're going to take supported halasana. Okay, so that means you'll set up your blankets like you're going to do regular shoulder stand. So you see I'm opening up and placing these blankets on the full square there. And I'm just going to use this one, 2. And then, oh, I keep losing my folds. Then you're going to set up something for your thighs to support your thigh bones. Now, that can be the chair. For most people, it will be. It'll be the chair with maybe a blanket on it if you're kind of on the shorter side. Or if you're a little bit taller, I would recommend putting a bolster. Now, when you do that, you got to work to thread your feet behind, right, between the bolster and the backrest. Now, if you're not going upside down, now is the time that you would do. You'd be in swastikasana, and you just take a bolster and bend forward over the bolster in swastikasana. So if you just did Setu Bandha, that's your work. Otherwise, you set up this way, or you have a halasana box. I'm going to show both, because frankly, when I do it, I'm going to do with my halasana box. It's more comfortable for me. You can have a bolster there for your hips like you normally would. Have some distance away from the wall. Now, if this is something kind of new to you or something that you struggle with, you should watch me now. Because there's something that happens in your shoulders. So when you come in, right, just like you come into shoulder stand, you can bring your legs up first and then work to thread those legs beneath. Now watch, I gotta grab my chair. I turn my upper arm bones out and I shimmy myself up on there so that my feet feel weighted and like they're gonna go down, not up. If I'm up here and my legs are going up, the feeling is that I'm falling that way, you see? You cannot have that. That might mean the bolster is too much height for you. It should be like that. Okay? So the hips are over the shoulders. So if you're not sure, the best way is to start with less height. Right? Because then it's just kind of clear as to where everything is. And you can just work like this. Absolutely fine. Okay? So that's the story. Go ahead and get that set up so you can take supported halasana. If you're interested, I'm just going to pull out my, it's called a halasana box. You can get one if you want to invest in props. Truth be told, it's one of my favorite props because this is just personally one of my favorite poses. I find it releases the back in such a lovely way. But when I do this with this halasana box, because mine's kind of tall, I use 4 blankets. So that's why I'm getting that extra blanket there. Otherwise, this is too tall for me. Okay. But if you're into investing a little bit and getting some wooden props, you'll see why this is so nice, and I really can't recommend them highly enough. Because you get the one that's right, a right height for you. And it's very relieving to the lungs, to the abdomen, to the low back, all those things. You can even, if you want to really be tricky, and it is tricky, but I don't know if I could do it for myself. You can get a bolster up there on your legs. There we go. And it gives your legs weight. It's really quite nice. So I've done that for many of you in class before. Ardha Halasana with support. Now then, close the eyes and allow the eyes to recede back towards the brain. Soften the jaw, the throat, the tongue. And again, with the eyes closed, become aware of the width of that landscape behind the eyes. If you're sitting in swastikasana, switch sides now. And then those of you in Ardha Halasana, gently begin to release and roll yourself all the way back down. Just like shoulder stand, slide yourself back so the shoulders come to the ground. Just move your chair or your bench back a little bit. Be there. And then turn yourself onto the side. Come on up. And lastly, we're going to set up for Viparita Karani against a wall. So what I recommend is you can do it two ways. Either be on a wooden floor or, where'd my mat go? Or have your mat, and you can lay the mat out against a wall so that the narrow edge is there against the wall. But if you do that, cover it with a blanket so that it's not so sticky that you can't slide, because you will want to slide when you come out of the pose, right? You just have that blanket. Take a bolster, make it parallel to the wall. You want it to be about 4 or 5 inches away from that wall. Some of you will want an additional blanket on top of that bolster, just for height. The taller people will like that, most commonly, and people who are shorter in stature, it's probably not necessary. But keep in mind that you want the chest to be well lifted. So, since we're working restoratively today for the most part, I wouldn't somersault into it, even if you're capable of doing that. I would sit and turn to the side and really get the hips up against the wall, and then roll yourself into a pose. Voila. So again, you should be able to feel, there we go, that those thick back ribs have support. So again, you know, my shoulders roll back and down, quite similar, in fact, to the very first pose we did, that cross bolsters, where the shoulders kind of hover there over the ground. Elbows beneath the shoulders, collarbones lifted and broad. Once you make it here, let your eyes close. This should be good for everyone. Laura, just don't be excessive about the lift. But once you're here, allow the eyes to close. Use that breath there in the side body. Feel very literally how in Viparita Karani you can really start to connect to that feeling of a soft front body and a wide back body. So that can mean many things. A soft front body can be like a compassionate, sort of loving, heartful way of being. And a wide back body, like something that's very stable, very understanding, very supportive. So fostering those two attitudes within, compassion, support. Now this pose is all those things for you. Compassionate, loving, supportive, strong, stable. Now we're going to come out of the pose incrementally. So first, just bend the knees so the feet come to the wall. And then gently slide yourself back until the buttock comes right down onto the ground. Then Once that happens, put the feet on the blankets and bolsters and cross the legs into swastikasana. The hands can just rest on the frontal body. Then change the crossing of the legs. And then now slide yourself back until the legs are straight, but your heels can rest on that support. If you need a blanket for the back of your head, just take it now. But with the heels supported and the low back long, observe the weight of your thigh bones descending. And without disturbing that pelvic leg relationship too terribly much, I want you to slide last little bit to where you can straighten the legs on the ground without touching the bolster blankets, keeping the thigh bones descending. And bring yourself there into Shavasana. Feel the body surrender completely and entirely to the earth. And the width and the compassion of the earth there, stable, secure,